I want to introduce our first speaker. And our first speaker tonight is a guest speaker named Mark Guy. And please welcome Mark Guy with his prepared speech tonight titled Lessons from a Reluctant Leader.
Have you ever met someone who may say, I am an artist, but I didn't choose art. Art chose me. I can say with a 100% degree confidence that I didn't choose to be a leader. Leadership chose me. And before I get with the speech and explain exactly what I mean, I'd like to ask everyone here, by the show of hands, who is a firstborn in their family? Except me. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people here. If you are firstborn in your family, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You become an automatic, reluctant leader for the rest of your life. You have this special gift to take care of your siblings for as long as you're walking on this earth. You become a cook, a driver, a homework buddy. You break up a lot of fights, but let's be honest, you start a lot of them too. And probably one of my favorite jobs is you are the mender of broken hearts. What I didn't realize, being firstborn, it has prepared me for the life of leadership that everyone here can experience. Because I feel that if you are in this room right now, watching me, watching my lips move and watching this speech, you are a leader. Every leader first have to lead themselves, and then they can lead others. So being a firstborn in my family, it has prepared me to where I am now. And I'd like to share with you 3 lessons in no particular order of being a reluctant leader. So would you like to know what they are by the show of hands? You can dance, whatever you like. I take it all. We're just recording this for the YouTube. So maybe your family, yes, thank you, Grammarian Lisa, I appreciate it. Lesson number 1. Your leadership title is not your entitlement. Your leadership title is not your entitlement. Just because you put in a position to lead doesn't mean you can or you should. The reason I learned this very bitter truth in my life about 10 years ago when I first moved to Florida, about a year into my residence here, I was elected to be a youth pastor in downtown Orlando Church. It was a church on Church Street. It is a true story. Up to that point in time, other than being a firstborn, this was the most significant position of leadership that I ever held in my life. And I was suddenly thrusted into this leadership role, and I was way over my head. I didn't realize that everyone has an agenda, not just Toastmasters meetings. And those agendas are not always obvious. Those agendas are hidden below the surface. Now looking back at that time, perhaps some of my tenure as the youth leader may be characterized as failure. But I realized that your leadership title is not your entitlement. You have to earn the right to lead your tribe every day. John C. Maxwell, in my opinion, said it best. People don't care how much you know until they see how much you care. So that's lesson number 1. Number 2, if you don't read, how can you lead? And I'm not just saying about the fun part, reading people's facial expressions and body gestures. I'm talking about reading books. How many of you have read a book this week? By the show of hands. Okay, 3. How about in the last month? Everyone. That's why I hang out with Toastmasters. Everyone becomes better. When I ask this question, I get a reluctant response. People look down and want to make they avoid eye contact. It is so hard to read. I get it. We have jobs, families, obligations. Sometimes I feel so exhausted, I just want to collapse at the end of the day. But as a leader, you must always raise your skill level because people are looking up to your leadership. If you don't read, how can you lead? And perhaps the most important lesson is lesson number 3. As a leader, there's always someone watching us, what we do and how we do it. There's always someone listening to what we say and how we say it. And the most important for me, there's always someone looking up to us right now. And in their eyes, you are the leader you always dreamed of being. A few months ago, my younger sister, Yelena, who also lives here in Central Florida, she came over for dinner and we were cleaning up and had a good dinner and we were cleaning up, doing dishes. And then she looked up at me and said, "Mark, do you realize you are the person who ever taught me how to drive?" And I remember those days going at nights and weekends and behind in the orange groves, making illegal turns. You're welcome, everyone. I did the best I could. Good luck. Is that sometimes there's always someone looking up to us. And if we forget that, I think we are letting our own leadership ability down. So while I may have started as a reluctant leader, I believe it is my lifelong calling to become an effective one. If you are in this room, there's no accident. It is on purpose. You are somewhere in your leadership journey. You don't have to be firstborn or middleborn or the only child. You can start to lead exactly where you are. Don't forget that leadership title is not your entitlement. If you don't read, how can you lead? And finally, there's always someone watching. So if James Sims invites me back again next year or in 2 years, some of you may approach me and say, "Mark, remember that speech you gave?" I can tell you with confidence, I didn't choose to be a leader. Leadership chose me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, for that speech on leadership.